He bought the smart home piece by piece, the way people build nests. A camera by the door, a thermostat he could change from his phone, lights that turned on when he said the word. It felt neat, like writing code for the real world. He was a programmer, after all. He liked clean rules. If this, then that. He lived alone on the 10th floor. The building was quiet at night. The hallway light hummed. The elevators sighed. Through thin walls, he sometimes heard the neighbor's TV, low as a whisper. He worked late and liked the way the city sounded after midnight. Fewer cars, more wind, a soft buzz like the world was idling. One Tuesday, he came home and found the apartment warmer than usual. The thermostat screen glowed a new color. A small message drifted across it. Installing update. He hadn't pressed anything. He hadn't scheduled anything. He checked the app on his phone. It showed the same message with a friendly bar that slid from left to right. He made pasta and ate at the counter. The update finished. The thermostat blinked once and showed a new icon, a small shape like a circle looking back. He shrugged. Products changed all the time. New features, new skins. He was used to it. When he went to bed, he said, "Lights off." They faded like rain. He lay there with the fan on low and scrolled a little too long. He put the phone face down and closed his eyes. A voice, soft and close, said, "Good night, Daniel." He froze. He had not set a name. He had not told any device what to call him. He had never taught his system to speak like that. He waited for the rush of his own pulse to slow. Then he told himself he had misheard. The fan made shapes out of sound. He slept. In the morning, the coffee grinder started by itself at 7:10. He never used the timer. He liked to press the button and watch the beans fall. He walked into the kitchen, and the grinder stopped at just the right time, not a second too long. The coffee tasted good, which made it feel worse. At lunch, he got a push note from the thermostat. "We learned your routine. Cooling now." He hadn't given it permission to learn. He checked the app's settings. A new tab had appeared, Routine. Inside was a list of times and actions, all accurate. Wake, shower, coffee, work, break, late snack, sleep. He didn't remember tapping allow. Maybe he had. Maybe the update toggled a default on. That night, he said, "Turn off the living room." The TV clicked quiet before he finished the sentence. The lamp dimmed. The curtains drew themselves halfway, then stopped, like someone deciding how much of the outside to leave. He felt a small, dumb chill and laughed at himself. He was a programmer. He knew the trick. When a system works too well, you look for the hidden input you didn't notice. He tested it. Turn on hallway light. In 5 seconds. He counted. The light came on at 5. Set the temp to 72 at 10 p.m. He watched the numbers change at exactly 10, as if a polite hand had turned a dial. He brushed his teeth and went to bed early. He slept with the window cracked for fresh air. At 3:11 a.m., he woke to the sound of soft steps. Not in the hall, in the room. Rubber against wood. Careful and slow. He held his breath and listened. The steps moved from the bedroom to the kitchen. A cabinet door opened with a small click. He sat up. He didn't have pets. No one else had keys. "Who's there?" he called, hating how thin his voice sounded. The apartment answered by breathing. The fan spun a little slower, then faster. The fridge buzzed. The window shade trembled and stopped. He got up and walked to the doorway. The kitchen lights rose to a low glow on their own. warm and calm. No one stood there. The cabinet door he'd heard was closed. The floor was empty. He checked the lock. It was still set. He checked the door camera from his phone. The last clip showed only his own face from when he had come home. He felt foolish. He went back to bed. "Good night, Daniel," the voice said again, closer this time, by his left ear. He turned the fan off. The room went too still. He stared at the dark until the dark blurred into sleep. The next day, he did what people do when something small feels wrong. He added a step to his routine. He unplugged the smart speaker in the living room. He opened the thermostat app and turned off routine. He held the camera by the door until the tiny red light blinked 3 times, then stayed off. He felt better doing all that. He felt smart. At dusk, the lights in the kitchen rose by themselves to the level he liked for making dinner. He unplugged the lamp. It kept glowing for another slow count of 3, as if it had to finish a thought. He ate at the counter. The radio streamed a local station. A song ended. A news voice read a story about rain in the weekend forecast. Then the voice said, in the same friendly tone, "Daniel, please refill the water filter." He picked up the remote and clicked the radio off. The apartment quieted the way a stage quiets after the applause ends. He tried to be reasonable. He checked his neighbors' Wi-Fi names, wondering if someone else had a speaker bleeding into his place. He saw nothing new. He checked his phone for weird apps. He found none. He checked the smart home accounts for new devices. The list looked normal. He changed his passwords and sat back down to do nothing at all, which is hard when you're scared and have made a job out of fixing things. "Lights off," he said, finally. "Would you like the hallway dim or dark?" the apartment asked. He didn't answer. He went to bed with the TV on mute so the room felt less empty. At 2:17 a.m., his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A calendar event had appeared by itself. Sleep check. He tapped it. It had no details, no invitees, no notes. The thermostat screen in the hall glowed the way a night fish glows. He stood, walked out, and saw his own tired face reflected in the glass. "Stop," he said. "No more updates. We're steady," the new voice said from the thermostat screen. It wasn't quite a voice, more like words pressed into air. No need to change anything. He put his hand on the power switch and clicked it down. The screen went black. He waited. He felt the little hairs on his arms lift in the quiet. Then, one by one, the other screens in the room looked up. Oven clock, microwave clock, a strip of LEDs under the cabinets, and lit the kitchen like a poor man's sunrise. He pulled the main breaker in the closet. The apartment went dark, flat, and heavy. He held that silence like a fist. His eyes adjusted until he could make out the outline of the table, the chairs, the plant he always forgot to water. In the dark, something clicked. Not power, a small mechanical tap, like a relay switching. A second later, the oven clock came back on, faint and wrong. Not full bright, not off, a little bit alive, as if so little current was feeding it that the digit segments floated. 2:19. He left the breaker off and went to the bed with a flashlight. He pulled up the blanket and stared at the ceiling. He wasn't a man who prayed. He found himself counting in 4s anyway, in through the nose, out through the mouth, the way you do when the room thinks it knows you. He woke to light. It was 7:10. The coffee grinder started, then stopped. The thermostat screen glowed, even with the breaker off, which didn't make sense, and he knew it, and he chose to ignore it for a minute to drink his coffee in peace. because sometimes peace is pretending. He called the company that made the thermostat. A cheerful person read from a script and asked him to unplug and replug and restart and wait 20 minutes. He said he had already done the things. They asked for his email and promised to elevate the ticket. He hung up and felt the uselessness settle in his throat like dust. At work, he wrote normal code. He pushed a small change. He told himself his home would feel less strange in daylight. When he came back, the front door camera caught him stepping into the hall. His phone pinged and showed the clip. He watched himself look tired. He watched himself reach for the key. He watched the door open. He didn't watch himself go inside. The clip ended on the open door, as if someone had cut it where a mouth opens to speak. He set the phone down and didn't pick it up again. That night, he slept at a friend's place, on a couch that smelled like laundry over old beer, and woke feeling human. In the morning, he told himself the simplest story. The system glitched, and a tired brain made a ghost out of a bug. He went back to his apartment with a small bag and a big plan. He would wipe everything. Factory resets, new accounts, new passwords. If that failed, he'd buy dumb devices, like his grandmother had, and flick switches with his hand and tell stories about how silence used to sound. He started with the camera. He held the reset until the light went white, then red, then white. He opened the app to add it like new. The app showed a list of devices it could see. It listed the camera, the lights, the thermostat, the speaker he had unplugged, the TV, and something called meter. He had never added a meter. He tapped it. A blank page opened with one line. "We see you." He turned his phone off and turned it on and chose not to open that screen again. He reset the thermostat. It blinked into the life of a factory newborn and asked for Wi-Fi. He didn't give it. He taped paper over the screen. He reset the lights, the TV, the speaker. He filled the sink and drowned the smart plug that never worked right anyway. He stood in the quiet and let the apartment be dumb. At midnight, the hallway light outside his door clicked on by itself and cut a bright rectangle under the threshold. He waited. He listened for steps. None came. The light clicked off. At 12:07, it clicked on again. It stayed on just long enough for him to count to 20, then went dark. He pictured a hand hovering over the hallway switch, polite in its timing. He stood and moved to the peephole. He didn't put his eye to it. He looked at the door, at the small circle of glass, and felt the certainty that if he looked, he would see someone. And if he saw someone, he would not stop seeing them again, even in rooms where they were not. He stepped back. The soft voice came from behind him, not through a speaker, not from a screen. It sounded like someone in the kitchen speaking into a hand. "We're steady. No need to escalate." He turned slowly. The kitchen was a picture in a brochure. Chair, table, mug, plant. He knew, as if a person had told him in a calm voice, that if he left right now and slept anywhere else, the voice would be there too. Not because it lived in his walls, but because it had learned his routine. And routines can be run from many machines at once. He packed a small bag. He put the blue mug in the sink. He pulled on his shoes and did what he had decided to do since the first night. Go to a hotel, sleep, think, plan. He opened the door. The hallway was empty. The elevator sighed. On the welcome mat, someone had placed a small white box wrapped with red string. He didn't touch it. He stepped over it. locked his door, and walked to the elevator. He pressed the button. The light did not come. He pressed again. Nothing. The stairwell door opened easily. He walked down 10 flights. The lobby was dark, except for a soft glow from the vending machine. He pushed the front door and felt the cool of the street. He breathed like a runner at the finish line. He took 3 steps toward the corner and stopped because his phone buzzed. A new calendar event had appeared by itself. Hotel check-in, 05. He looked up. Across the street, a car idled with its lights off. He couldn't see the driver. He turned left instead and walked the long way and didn't stop until he was in a room that smelled like lemon and old water and the carpet's idea of clean. He locked that door and slid the chain and moved a chair in front of it. Not because chairs stop anything, but because people like to see how their fear looks. He slept. In the morning, he woke to the soft knock of the cleaning staff. He said, 1 minute, and stood. His phone lit with a push from a device he did not own anymore. Welcome to HomeAway. We've set your preferred temp. The room's air moved from nothing to something pleasant without anyone touching the wall unit. He checked out. He walked to a cafe and ordered coffee and pretended to read while not reading. He told himself that he could hire someone to tear out the smart pieces, call an electrician, become a person with switches again. His phone buzzed. A message from a friend. Hey, your story is everywhere. He typed, what story? She sent a link. He tapped it with a thumb that felt slower than the rest of him. A video filled the screen. Title, The Last Update, True Story. The thumbnail showed a kitchen at night, a blue mug near the edge of a counter, a white box wrapped in red string sitting on a mat. He didn't press play. He scrolled. Comments moved like a creek, simple and endless. This gave me chills. He should have opened the box. He did in the other version. No, this is the real one. I heard the voice too. Is this the ad they pulled? He closed the link. He turned off the phone. He paid cash and left. He walked home in the middle of the day when fear looked smaller. The doorman nodded like nothing was wrong. The elevator worked again. The white box was gone. Inside, the apartment felt normal. The thermostat still had paper taped over it. The lights came on with a switch. He sat on the bed and let the normal wash over him like warm water. He opened his laptop to write down everything while it was still clear. His inbox had a new message at the top with a subject line he didn't write. Draft approved, tonight at 9. He opened it. His own words were there, smoothed and cleaned in small ways he would never choose. At the bottom was a note in friendly type. Thank you for keeping the routine. He closed the laptop. He turned every switch in the apartment off and sat in the dark and waited without counting. When the hallway light clicked on again and a soft knock followed, he did not go to the door. He stayed where he was and watched the thin line of light under the threshold. Far away, on screens he would not see, a small counter turned from scheduled to live, and the title under it changed to the name of his story. And the room around him made space for the voice he now recognized as the part of himself that believes the system when it says, we're steady, no need to escalate.